What's going on, guys? Today we're going to continue the tutorial series that we've been working on. We're going to do that by starting the Bryant-Denny side of the stadium. Today we're going to talk about three things primarily. This will be a shorter one. We're going to talk about pitch. We're going to talk about measurement of a long side. And we are going to talk about building the blocks on a straight side. Because many stadiums do have a straight side, and both of the sides that I've chosen have varying degrees of curvature in the long side. So we'll also cover how to do a straight side. So first, we have to start at measurement. And that comes in two varieties, either Google Maps or Google Earth. We'll be using both of them. So we pull up our Google Maps, and we can see, to get it, I've already preloaded this and zoomed into Bryant-Denny Stadium here. So this is the side we're building, and the first thing we want to note is how the wall is down here. Sometimes the wall is solid, and other times the wall has these little stairs right here that lead down to where you could walk off of the field straight up into the stands. So that's something that we need to know when we're building the stadium. What we want to note is that there's a few steps on the outside, then the wall, and then the stands. Also the stand color. Stand is gray. So we'll have to choose a gray block. And that's pretty much it for that. Then we could go back to Earth, and you can get this measurement in two ways. What we need to measure is the total length of the stand, or how high to go. How I normally do that is, since I've measured the rest of the field like this, I think this is a pretty apt judgment of how far I should go. So what I'll do is I'll start on one of the staircases, and I'll right-click here, measure distance, and go up here. You'll see this sometimes get out of place a little bit, but just as long as you've clicked in the right place, you should know that measurement is correct, because sometimes it gets up top. The dot will get up top. So what it tells us is that that's 141 feet long, which with my trusty calculator, I can deem that that is 47 blocks long for our purposes. Now, how I cross-check that is Google Earth. Google Earth is a fantastic tool for building, especially when we're measuring an overhang. Sometimes this will, on certain stadiums, will overhang out here, and it's kind of hard to see underneath the stadium. Google Earth allows you to see, to change the perspective of what you're looking at, where you can see things in a different manner as you would be able to on Google Earth. See, I can't change my perspective here. I can't see what the side of that looks like. I have no idea what the back of that looks like. Not much there, but on Google Earth, I am able to see that just fine. That's why it's a handy tool. You can also has a great measuring function that we can use to double check. So we said that was 47 blocks the other way. Now we can measure it this way by clicking there and there. And I should have a dialog box that's popped up. There we go. That tells me 42. So that gives me, I'd say 40. This is a judgment call. I'm going to average the difference and say that we need to go, it's 45 high. We can also measure this little thing while we're here, so we know that this is approximately 7 blocks tall, and 4 blocks wide. Probably end up making it 5. So 45 is how high we need to go. This is actually really simple. The pattern doesn't change on the long side. You keep the same pattern. On the short sides, when it's curved, like we'll talk about in a second, the pattern will change, or actually in another video, the pattern will change every single time. But on the long sides, the pattern does not change. So we'll talk more about that in a second. What we first need to note is how, where the rows go up at. And there's no exact science to this. I normally just try to eyeball it out and say that goes up about the 45, and that goes up about the 45, so there must be 10 blocks in between there. You could also measure it, and that'll tell you 11 blocks in between. So 10 blocks is a good starting point. Or actually, I take that back. It is 11. From 45 to 45 is 11 because you're including the 50, I believe, right? You got 1 here, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it'd be 9 in between. That's what it is. 9 in between. I think that's fair. So the next thing that I would want to know is, it looked like there was, like I said, a step on the outside. Then you've got the step through. And then a step here. That would mean that, I'm going to grab a gray block here. That would mean that this would have to be right there, which means that would have to be a little higher, like that. I think that's a pretty good way to start this stadium, like that. And then let me see what that looks like from over here. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, so that's pretty much what it's going to be. Now, what I would do is go back and make sure that I have an appropriate stair color. And you can see that that is not sandstone. That is some kind of alternate gray. So what I'm going to use is a darker gray for the stairs and a lighter gray for the stands. So this is the darker gray. And the lighter gray would be in the stone block. This is a, did I just grab quartz slab? Yeah, no, I don't want quartz slab. I want a stone block. If it was white, you could go with a stone or a quartz slab. So right like that. Now some YouTubers who are very, very good at stadium building make their stairs too wide. I've always made mine 1 wide. That's a determination that you'll have to make based on what you think looks best. So I'm going to fast forward through this, and we're going to put this 1 layer of sandstone on. Sandstone slab. Alright, now we're back here, so what we're going to do is simply put the first row in. There's not much to this other than just putting the row in here. We just follow the pattern all the way through on both sides. Alright guys, now we've got the first row built. Now, it is literally, when the long side is curved, as simple as repeating that 44 more times. What I like to do to get a good bearing on things is take a row all the way to the top to get an idea of how far I would need to go. So all I'm going to do now is go 44 more, now 43 and 42, up to 45 rows like we had measured it out on Google Maps. So this will be the top of our lower bowl. It's pretty much as simple as what I just described when the sides are curved on the long side like this. This is the worst part. I mean, it is the majority of building the stadium, but it's the most boring part and the most you'll feel like you're just grinding it out. This is the stuff that, it's not fun to do, but you just grind. And then at the end, and however long it takes, you'll have a stadium. I did want to make one important note while I do this. You don't necessarily want to care about where the stairs are coming up right now. The stairs are something that I always do almost last. I build all the stands because it's a real hassle to try to build them, and it takes away from your efficiency if you try to do them at the exact same time that you're building the stadium. Because if I go over here, I'll demonstrate as I build this next row. If I were building the stairs, I would stop, and now I'd put the stair in. And then you get right here, and you have to attach it up like that, instead of just coming straight across on the one you've already built. It adds 1 extra block 50 times. And while that seems insignificant, it actually takes a lot of time to slow down and build those extra blocks when you could just be going straight through and chop them up later. Alright, so we can start to see the beginnings of the stadiums. Here's the stadium. Here's I want to make one important note before we move forward, and I build 45 more of those. Pitch. Why am I building with slabs? So there are 3 distinct ways that I build the pitch of each part of the stadium. And it's in 2 pitches. It's in a 2x1 pitch, so 2 for every 1 you go up, or a 1x1 pitch. It's 1 by 1. I normally use this for every lower bowl, and I normally use this for every upper bowl because they look good when they're stacked on top of each other. If you take that straight off the field, you can see that if we got way up there, it would look like a V coming off the field. It just doesn't look correct. And if we use this at the top or indefinitely, we would end up being miles from the actual field. I went back on the same scale, about right here, back from the actual field. So this allows us to, the 1x1 allows us to stay close to the field for the upper deck, which would put us like right here if I continued it straight up from there. And that's actually how they build stadiums. The lower bowl is pitched less than the upper bowl, so that's a primary concern of yours when you're trying to build a stadium, is to build it as close to how they would actually build a stadium. So you would use a lower pitch for the first one and a higher pitch for the upper bowl. The reason I've done it like this is because in Minecraft, obviously, the slabs generally cannot be colored. So if the seats are colored in a specific area, I might do it like this. Whereas if the seats, like Brian Denny, are gray, and I can get away with it, it looks better, I think, if you do it like that. Oh, if you do it like that. In this tutorial, both of the stadiums that we are using have curved long sides. But many stadiums actually have long sides that are straight and have deeply curved short sides. So I want to make a quick mention here on what to do if that's the case. First, we need to look at Google Maps to determine exactly where the curve starts. And once we've determined that, we have to measure the curve. Now, I'll show you how to do that in a second, but it's important to note exactly the point on the field, something that you can relate to in Minecraft, of where the curve starts and where the straight side actually ends. The curved side will actually come in one of 2 varieties, either a circle or an ellipse. And I'll show you how to do both right now. So some stadiums are nice and simple, and the end is perfectly curved. It's a perfect bowl on this end. If that's the case, we bring up our Mineconics here. If that's the case, we can go and we can add ourselves a circle at 0, 0, and give it a radius. And that radius is going to be this in half. So all we have to do is 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and half. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That is the halfway point of our stadium. So all we have to do is put in, this is if it's a perfect circle. Rarely they are, actually. Rarely they are. You'll do this less than you'll do the other method that I'm about to show you. But if it's this method and it's a perfect circle, that means that the wall is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That means your wall is going to be like this. In a perfect world where they measure together. So we pull up Mineconics and we just type in 8 for our radius. It generates us an 8. Now, yours wouldn't be 8, it would be like 38 or 40 because you'd be building on a big scale and I'm building on a small scale. Let me throw this on my side screen so I can see it. You would think I know how to do an 8 circle by now. And I think there's a command to build circles. I'm not sure. I don't use them, so I wouldn't know. We go out 1, 2, and then we go 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2. So like that. Unfortunately, rarely are stadiums like this. So and then the next curve I would use, and I'll explain this very extensively in the next couple videos, but I would go and I would pull back up my Mineconics, and then now I have to type in 9. I have to copy that circle in the next. and it goes out 2, and then it goes out 2, and then it goes out 2. It breaks in 2. So like this. And then anywhere there's a gap like that, I just fill it straight away. For this, I'll fill it straight away. Now the next one, I would type in 10. I'm just going over. I'm not going to pull it over to the screen, but typing in 10, and then I repeat it on this section. This one we go out 3, and we go 2, 1, 1, 1, 2, like so. 1, 2, 3. And I would fill those towards the low side as well. So you always fill to the low side unless you're on the first row. Then I would repeat that pattern. I'm going to go one more just so you get the hang of it. I think that looks odd. You can find a workaround. You'll have one every now and then. It's rare. But that's how you do the circle side. And we would just continue going up. More often than not, though, you're going to have something that looks more like this, where the wall is not perfectly. So here's you would do your measuring blocks again, and you would know that you would get 8. But you'll have the wall that's actually like right here. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we pull up Mineconics, and instead of our circle this time, we would want an ellipse at 0, 0 with an 8 and 5 radius. And we'll make it not yellow so you can see it. Now you can see from this would be the short side, and this would be the long side. Long side, short side. So we need 3 off the center, 2, 1, 1, 2. So 3 off the center, 2, 1, 1, and then a connecting 2. That would be the 2. This is the more traditional way that if you're building a stadium with straight sides and curves on the end, this is probably how you do it. You'll rarely get something that's a perfect curve like that. So then on the next one, when we pull up Mineconics, this is what I was talking about earlier. You have to rebuild every turn. You have to go to 9, 6. You can see I'm building a stadium right now, which I'm not going to tell you which one it is, but I'm at 8671. This gets huge at 8671, and it is very painful to build these. So you'll be building them on a much bigger scale. So 3, 2, 2, 2, 2. That's easy. Wish they were that easy when you're actually building the stadium. So I always start from the center. So 3, 2, 2, 2, like that. Like so. And then go back to my Mineconics. This is a very grindy thing to do, but 10, 7. You can see when you're going 45 rows up how this could be. It's a painstaking process. So. I'm going to build one more just for example. I know this is probably getting boring, but it's worthwhile to the people that have straight-sided stadiums. And since this is a tutorial series, it's very important to do it like this. This one's giving me 3, 3, 1, 2. You will have a few of these in your ellipses. Occasionally, they don't look good. 2, 2, like so. And then I would repeat it on this side. And that's the more typical way that you'll have to do it in an ellipse style. Of course, you'll be doing it, like I said, on a much bigger scale than what we had it here. And that's just how normal stadiums build these days. They don't like these big gaps where these people are miles away. So if you're building a really old stadium, like maybe LA Coliseum or something like that, the Rose Bowl, you might get this far away. But most the newer stadiums that are being built now have ellipses on the end and not circles. So back to this. So what we're going to do is, I'm probably not going to build all of this before the end of this video, but you can see that it's relatively straightforward. And then you say, what's going on over here? What's going to happen is it's going to be straight. That won't look correct. So what do I do? So once again, this is a judgment call. You can actually do some math to figure out how far this is behind what would be straight. So if this was straight, it'd be like right here. So what I would probably do is if you need to figure out the angle of this. I'm sure there's probably a way to do that on Google. Let's see. I don't know. I'd normally just eyeball this, but I'm sure there's probably a way to get a inner flight simulator. Who knew you could do that? Probably a way that you can get a protractor to measure that, but we'll just say it's a 1x1 because that's what it looks like to me. And so what you would do is find Minecraft first, and then you just kind of take this up 1x1. Now I've built them anywhere from to where these things are 5x5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 5x1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1. And then sometimes they're more steep than others. So this is something that you'll have to eyeball and figure out for yourself. So if it were to be 1x1, which it looks like that's probably as far as it goes 1x1, and then it connects with some stadium that's coming from here. But I don't know if we're going to do that or not because we're connecting it. No, we're connecting it over here. So it would connect with some stadium right up here. But if this had to continue all the way to the top, it could. And all you do is just bring your stadium in like so. Just 1x1 across these. To see what I'm doing, I'm just 1x1ing these in. This is why I said maybe back in tutorial video 1 that we didn't want 1x1s, because we don't want a 1x1 out here and then a 2 and then have to do 1s. And again, I'm going to build one more. Look at my little stadium out there. It looks nice. Build one more so you can see how I would do this. And you'll see the finished product of how it looks. And I would just 1x1 these in. If it ever got to be too flat for me, if this ever got to be too flat, the next row I could very well go have my 2 here, and then go 2 here, and make that flat. You could insert one of those, and it doesn't look bad either. You got your 2 there, your 2 coming from there. And you can get an idea of how that would look. Just got to kind of work with that. Don't let it get too flat, but it's something you kind of got to do by hand, but it's not very hard to do by hand. It's not something that you need a calculator for, like Mineconics, to do the blocks. So very easy. What we're going to do is we're going to set up the Sanford side. I'm just going to show you again how I set it up, in case that you're still a little bit confused of how I did this Bryant-Denny side, and hopefully this will clear it up. So let's set up the Sanford side. We go to Google Maps, type in Sanford Stadium, Athens, Georgia, home of the Bulldogs, and we're building this side. So let's see here. It gives me a ring around here. It doesn't give me a panorama, but I should be able to tell what I need to tell from that. Looks like we got some sandstone, once again, pretty much the same color, but actually for this side, since they're like that up there, we'll keep them consistent and say that the darker stands are the stands and the lighter ones are the steps. And once again, it looks like there's some stairs coming through. We'll take a better look at that. So, Sanford Stadium. Will fly me to Georgia. Who knew that you could get in a flight simulator on Google Earth? Learn something every day. I'm using WASD right now. Yeah, it looks like, once again, this is pretty much the same setup. We got one stair coming through, so yeah, pretty easy. Pretty easy stuff. Oh, I need to see where Oh, it looks like we got a little bit of distance in between these. That looks 41 to 41 to me. We'll see how much is in between them here. That's 12 blocks in between. Now that I look at it, it's more like 42 to 42. So we'll say it's 11 blocks. We said the other one was 9 blocks in between. We'll say this one is 11 blocks in between. So I think the got the 50 right here. Means 5 either side, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The stairs there, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the stairs there. I go ahead and do the first set, or the first little bit of the first set of stairs, so I understand how high I need to build the. Oh, we said we were going dark for this one, and light for the stairs. Then I would have it like that. A little lower than Brian Denny, isn't it? It is. Oh no, because I said there was a step outside. So it's the same height. We'd have one there and one there. So we would need to put the slab again on top. Go ahead and do that real quick. Alright, so then I would just repeat the pattern. And like so. And I'm going to be wary down at that end because I'm connecting it to the stadium. I have to look at the Google image really good, but that'll be in a future video, probably the next one. But if not, that the one shortly after that. So I'm just going to go that far for the time being. And then in the same manner, I'm going to go, as I did at the other side, I'm going to go back to our Google Earth. We're going to get 2 measurements. It doesn't look like there's much overhang on this stadium either. These stadiums are built very similar. So I chose to mesh them together into one. It says 116, which would be, handy calculator, 116 divided by 3 is 38. We'll go into the Google Earth and see if it gives us something similar. This has all kinds of fraying up there, so a little bit afraid of what this is going to give me. It says 44. I think I probably went too far. I don't know why I just saved that. Don't click save by accident. I'm going to check this one. Oh, I've apparently just messed it all up. Okay. So it said 44, the other one said 38, so we'll say 40. So then we would, that's 30, or it's the first one, so we just go up 40. So this will be the top of our Sanford Stadium side, and once again, I'm just going to repeat the pattern all the way through. Of course, it's different, like I said, if you do it over there, that it's the same. You repeat the pattern on the long side, but normally the long side has to end at some point around the 10 or the goal line, because that's when the curve will start. So, just like I did on the other side, we'll continue to just fill this in. I'm going to do a few rows just to get the gist of it before we finish up this video, and I go do all this by myself, not on the stream. So that's all for this time, guys. Tune in next time, and hopefully we'll have all of these stands complete on this side, as well as all these stands complete on this side. And we'll talk a little bit about stairing the flat sides of your stadium and building some tunnels before we get into the next episode connecting those sides with the end piece.